Good morning. I'm Frank Messina, and this is the Chatham Historical Commission meeting of May 3rd, 2022. I'd like to welcome everybody. We have a number of announcements to make before we can start. My first announcement is that my allergies are killing me, so we have to apologize for my voice as well as my ears being a little clogged. So please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman now. Seeing none, thank you very much. Pursuant to Governor Baker, June 16, 2021, signing of an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. Hello, Ben. Including the extension of his March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A 20, until July 15, 2022. This meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in both in-person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately address the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling in the phone number 508-945-4410, conference ID 848-747-273#, or by joining the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we will not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Okay, first item, I see Mr. Smolodinsky has joined us, so we have a full quorum. Take a roll call. Bob?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Ben?
Here.
Steph?
Here.
Jane?
Here.
Thank you.
Remote.
Don?
Here.
And Sandy?
Here.
And Janet?
Here.
And the chair, Messina, is here. So we have a full complement of members voting, which means our two alternates, Sandy and Janet, will participate in the discussions and deliberations, but they will not be voting if there is voting to be done today. I'd like to suggest, well, let's go right to the minutes. We have the minutes of April 19th, 2022. I guess there were two, Stephanie and Ben and Steve were absent. Any questions, comments, corrections?
I was here, Frank.
Say again?
I said I was here. You said I was absent. Steve was absent. All right. All right.
Sorry, Ben. Thank you. Okay, if there are none, a motion for acceptance of the minutes?
So move.
Second?
I second Jane.
Jane, second, from distant. Are you home at the Hill, on the Hill?
On the Hill.
Very good. Okay, need to do a roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
I can't vote.
Abstain? Ben?
Yes.
Stephanie, abstain? Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And Sandy?
Yes.
And Janet, who were both here, so.
Yes.
Voting. Thank you. Okay. Moving right along, I would like to suggest, if we may, we have two applications which are continued, but we also have two applications which we're going to be disposed of very quickly, and I'd like to ask the indulgence of those present. Should take just a couple of minutes. Thank you very much. And if the members of the commission agree, so I'd like to hear first 37 Clamshell Drive, 22005. This is an application to be heard in accordance with Chapter 158 of the Demolition Delay Bylaw. This is one of the many houses down in that area which are subjected to flooding. So why don't you give us a quick overview? There was a site visit. A number of members of the commission attended, and others did, in fact, get to visit the site. But Why don't you introduce yourself quickly?
My name is Donnie Dunham of DeMartin Dunham Builders.
Just speak into the microphone.
Can you hear me okay?
That's good.
Okay. I'm Donnie Dunham of DeMartin.
Excuse me, is there a button there to turn it on?
Oh, it's green already.
It's green? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
We are representing the Owl Real Estate Trust at 37 Clamshell Drive, proposing to raise and replace the existing three-bedroom, single-family dwelling. The home is in a flood zone, so the proposal is to raise it to ensure that we're FEMA compliant in the new build. The new home will be a shingle-style Cape Cod home to kind of stay within the design of the neighborhood. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, what we do normally is we proceed relative to the historical significance of the property, and if we find the historical significant, we proceed to the next phase relative to a demolition delay. I would note, members of the commission, there is no Form B on this property, and our preservation consultant in the survey listed as a no. So I think, although it's a cute little cottage, I don't think, in my opinion, there's much architecturally significant historic elements. So, any other comments or concerns or questions? Mr. Lear,
Just that I agree with your analysis.
Could we get a motion to that effect?
I move that the Chatham Historical Commission find that the building.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I move that the Chatham Historical Commission find that the building or structure located at 37 Clamshell Drive is not historically significant because it does not meet any of the definitional criteria of section 158-2 A, B, or C of the bylaw. Therefore, the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
I'll second.
thank you very much. Any other comments, questions, members of the audience?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
37 Clamshell Drive, to somebody who lives in North Chatham, is impossible to find. The signage is abysmal at best. I probably used up a half a tank of gas riding around that neighborhood before I
Okay,
found your home.
duly noted. All right, no other first comments, we'll do a roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes,
Steph?
Yes,
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much,
Thank you, board members.
appreciate it. Ask the town to put a street sign up.
well, I believe that that's the Board of Health and the Fire Department. If the place catches on fire, they're gonna find it.
Okay, different department. The next application is 22006, 18 Tappan Drive. Is there somebody here from 18 Tappan Drive? He's online?
There is, yes,
Yeah, thank you very much.
yes.
I'd like to
Can
apologize.
you,
I'd like to apologize again because there was a little bit of confusion relative to the time of the site visit, but a lot of us have been there in 2020, so I think we accomplished. Again, this is 18 Tappan Drive, to be heard in accordance with Chapter 158 Demolition Delay Bylaw. Just a couple of quick comments. This application was before us in 2020, and the Historical Commission at that time, June 2020, voted a determination that it was not historically significant and that a demolition could take place. I guess the applicant did not proceed with the work, and the demolition determination expired. So why don't you just give us a couple of quick words, sir? Introduce yourself.
Sure thing. Good morning, members of the board, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is James Bustamante with Longfellow Design Build. I'm here today on behalf of Marcella Ruddy. As you did state, this application was heard back on July 21st of 2020 and approved by the board. For a full demolition of the house at 18 Tappan Drive. The house was, my client Marcel, we are technically proposing the same application that the previous builder, James Haggerty, presented to the board back in 2021. Because the application does not transfer by parcel by homeowner, because of homeowner 2 years later to basically essentially that's all I have to say. If you have any questions,
Okay,
I would
all right.
answer you.
I think generally we understand what's happened here, so we have a situation reaffirming what we decided, or some of us decided in June 2020. So the first element that we do is relative to the historical significance of the property, and I believe back in 2020, although there was a Form B on the property, we did not feel its style or form is historically significant, sufficient to put a demolition delay on it. At least that's what we decided in 2020. I don't know if anybody else has any new comments or new opinions relative to that matter. Okay, seeing none. Mr. Lear?
I move that the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the building located at 18 Tappan Drive is not historically significant because it does not meet any of the definitional criteria in section 158-2, subsection A, B, or C of the bylaw. Therefore, the commission does not impose demolition delay.
Second by Steve. Okay, any other comments or questions? You turned your mic on. Did you want to say something? Okay, then shut it off. I'm sorry, just, okay, all right, sorry about that. No, I thought you were going to say something, okay. All right, okay, anybody in the public wish to speak to the application? Nope. Okay, we'll take a roll call. Mr. Lear?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Hopefully you get this thing going again. Okay, sir?
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, have a good day.
Okay. All right, we disposed of 2 in 15 minutes. You think we can continue at that rate? I don't think so. Okay, we're going back to our regular order of business, and I appreciate the cooperation of the applicants. Application 22003, heard in accordance with Chapter 158, as well as potentially in provision to the Cape Cod Commission Regional Policy Plan. This application, for the public's information, was continued from our previous meeting, and the reason we continued it was that as it was in the National Register District and we had some concerns or questions, we asked Sarah Korjeff, who's the preservation consultant for the Cape Cod Commission, to assist us and review the application and provide some comments. This is a process in which the commission uses quite often when we do have an application for a property in the Old Village or any National Register District in which we have some concerns and looking for some technical input from Ms. Korjeff. Having said that, I guess we did actually, you did present last time, if I recall.
I did, yes, sir.
And we did, in fact, indicate it was historically significant, reaffirmed it. So at this particular point, I think what we want to do for the members of the commission who have had plenty of time to look at Mrs. Sarah Korjeff's comments, if we could opine, or if you would like to make a presentation relative to her comments, Mr.
Well, I really have not changed the design at all, except for a minor revision that I made. And if I may, I have sheet A2, which Sarah referenced the ridge height discrepancy on the drawings. I looked at them, I found it. What it was, I had the wrong elevation on the existing plan. I have since corrected it. I have the new sheet A2s I'd like to give to the board, showing that change.
Surely, I appreciate that. We'll get that.
That's a complete updated set as of today, just for your.
Okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you give that complete update to Michelle? Because I'll lose it. Thank you very much. I think Sarah's comments were positive in the sense of her pretty much understanding, in my opinion, negligible, if any, negative impact on the historic structure's character. Other than the fact that she asked some detail as it relates to preserving the windows and doors.
Yeah, the windows all have been replaced in this building previous, I think under another application. The windows she's referring to with the, I guess, gunstock molding that the windows project out beyond the frame, that's in just the old part of the house, the historically significant front piece. The additions after that are all just typical flat casing. You know, we're proposing the new windows that we put in the new addition will be typical flat casing. There'll be no disruption to the existing antique, if you will, antique section of the building out front. We
Okay.
don't plan on replacing any of those windows.
All right.
Or relocating.
And Michelle, make sure we note that. Okay. So basically, I guess at this particular point, you feel that, you know, you're in basic compliance with Sarah, and there's no other changes. Do we have any comments or questions from the members to the applicant?
I just have, I guess, more of a comment. When I first saw the plans, I thought this is way too much, but being out there, as I think Marcus pointed out, you really can't see the changes except potentially from the side of the house, but the neighbors are so close you can't even get there to see what's going on, so.
Yeah, it's very hard to see the house. As you can see from the photographs I gave you, there's no way to take a picture to get the full picture of what's going on.
So I don't have a problem at
Okay.
a significant or material change to the historical significance.
Good. All right, we don't have any correspondence on this application, correct, Michelle? Correct. All right. We seem to have a consensus, or at least I believe we do. Nobody's raising objections. Does any member of the public, I'm sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Does any member of the public wish to speak for or against the application? Yes, could you please come forward?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the commission. Mr. Chairman, my name is Norman Pakin. I live at 14 Sunset Lane in the Old Village and in the National Register District. I have a number of comments to make, but I'll try to be brief.
Thank you.
First of all, this is a half cape that's being considered, and half capes have become exceedingly rare. And so anything that's done to the building itself is important. The Sumner Bradley Mayo House, as it's designated in Form B, is almost flush to the street. And it's in a line with 2 or 3 other older buildings all contributing within the district. And I think the commission, in its review of this, should be very careful as to how the final product will develop. I want to express some concerns that it seems to me not clear at all that the applicant will save any historic materials. It's not clear what's there, but I don't think it should be assumed that there are no historic materials that are going to be affected. And so should this commission allow the applicant to go forward, I think that should be a condition, that all historic materials, whatever, will be preserved and, if possible, used in the new construction. I also wanted to indicate here that it wasn't clear to me, and if it's if that's my fault, I accept that, but whether or not the proposal will, as changed, that the original window frames and door details on the half cape will be preserved.
I think Mr. Zebrat indicated that.
I thought so too, but
Yes.
I just wanted to be
Yeah,
clear.
and we asked Michelle to note that in the determination.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much, Mr. Chairman. Once again, those are my comments, and I appreciate being able to speak to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paikin. Anyone else?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. There's a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, Bill Litchfield. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to be brief also. I represent the O'Reillys and have had the pleasure of working with Mark in their plans to preserve this property. And of course, we all respect Mr. Paikin's efforts in creating the National Register District. But I think that Sarah's comments in the largest or last paragraph in her letter speak to exactly what we hoped you would hear from her review, that while it is marginally visible, the changes will not have a negative impact on the historic structure's character defining features, and most importantly, that it may enable the building's long-term preservation. She refers to the additions as modest in size, and in terms of historic preservation of historic elements, she notes that the change will only impact original materials in a small area where the proposed rear dormer would intersect with a rear section. Importantly, the half cape, which as Mr. Rakeman pointed out is on your letterhead, the half cape is being preserved. And as Mr. Lear pointed out, because of the proximity of the house to its abutters, the changes will not be noticeable. So the distinctive aspects are being preserved, and of course, I think importantly, if I understood Mark correctly, the windows in the half cape are not original. Yet Sarah indicates that they should be preserved, and we all think they should, but I think that speaks to the ability to make modest changes in a home and still have it remain historic. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Litchfield. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, yes, sorry about that.
No, that's quite all right.
I really have no way of knowing that, somebody's out there.
Well, until we start yelling, so.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just figured I would, jump in, though, that's quite all right.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Billy O'Reilly and Susan O'Reilly were the applicants and the homeowners.
Oh,
And we just wanted to thank the commission. I was present, but just listening in for the initial hearing. And we first came to Chatham about 20+ years ago, bought a house in North Chatham, and then immediately realized that we really wanted to be in the old village for all the reasons that Mr. Paikin and several of the commenters at the previous meeting raised in terms of the historical character of the neighborhood and the historical nature of that house. We looked at the Andrew Harding's shop across the street, Andrew Harding's General Store across the street, and we didn't even know 158 Main was for sale, but Ward Brown walked us over and showed it to us, and we fell in love with it, and have continued. It stayed there now for about 20 years, and really brought in Mark and Tim, who we knew from some work Tim had done with us, to preserve the character of the house and to make some fairly modest changes that we hope will allow us to continue to enjoy the house for the rest of our lives and our kids' lives, et cetera. So this has been a very interesting process for us, and we really appreciate the commission's time and the public commenters' time to come in and sort of reinforce all of that. And it's good to hear all of that. So thank you from us.
Well, thank you very much. Can I make an observation? You're not in the house right now, right?
No.
Because the walls look too straight behind you. And the ceiling. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being a custodian of such a lovely property. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I think we have ready for a vote. Mr. Lear?
I'm ready to make a motion. I just want to get some clarity on the conditions that you want to include in that. Mark, we've had some issues in the past about not being entirely precise and things then going on that we didn't meant to not go on, but we didn't say that. So that's why I'm trying to clarify this. We had talked about preserving the historic materials and to the extent possible reusing them. Is that
Yeah,
satisfactory?
I understand where you're coming, preserving the historic materials. If you think of this addition, it's basically just kind of hugging that northeast corner of the building, and where those two structures connect, there's typical walls. That addition was probably done in the 40s or 30s, maybe even the 20s. I don't really know the date. It's probably 2x4 construction that we're going to be eliminating in that area. I don't think any of that material is really historically significant and really reusable to have any historical value. Where we're putting the dormer on the north side in the connecting roof, there may be some timbers up in there that might be historically significant and worth reusing, some sizable, maybe 6x8 or 8x8s. There's no way we can tell at this point without demolition to find out what is actually in there. I suspect in that roof area there will be heavier timbers because that's probably an addition to the original old Cape Ave. And if they are, we'll save them using as beams inside the house where they can be visible and appreciated.
Okay, so what I just read is acceptable as a condition to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a contractor? Mr. O'Reilly, do you have a contractor yet?
Yeah, Minglewood will be doing the work as
Okay,
of
that's
now.
good. Good to know that. I mean, our biggest problem, and I think we're alluding to, is when we get a contractor who's not familiar with Chatham and not familiar with the Historical Commission, we get a lot of oopsies, and all of a sudden something's missing or something comes down. Oh, I didn't think it was any good, so I took it apart. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that's a big problem, as you know, Mark. How do we communicate to you, the architect, to the owner, to the builder, who's actually doing the work, what the process is?
Yeah, it's a very difficult process at that,
Yeah.
as you open these things up, find out what's
You don't know.
good, what's bad,
Yeah.
how much has been down in the dirt, how much needs to be repaired. And I know working with Tim, I've been working with him a couple years now, that he's very good at determining what's going on, trying to get back to the board. If I'm aware of it, I certainly will get back to the board to question things to see how we can make a resolution.
Yeah, as Wina said, we're only a phone call away. Just pick up the phone, and we usually, between myself or Jay Briggs or Bob, can respond very quickly. And okay, sorry, Bob.
date I've got is 2/22/22, so it's hard to make sure it's right. I move the Chatham Historical Commission also finds that the proposed work to be done dated February 22nd, 2022 will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay, with the condition that the applicant will preserve all historic materials and to the extent possible reuse them.
All right.
Second.
Got a
Jane.
second?
Second.
Jane, thank you,
Second.
Jane.
Yep.
She's quick on the draw, Jane. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Roll call, Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you. We need, there's a part two here relative to the National Register District. Sorry about that. As Bob is getting out the motion, this is because this application is under jurisdiction of Chapter 158, as well as potentially referral to the Cape Cod Commission under the provisions of the Regional Policy Act. Do you have it handy?
I do.
Michelle,
Michelle,
you have one handy?
I think I have it.
did you make a determination that the listing onto the National Register?
No.
We need to do both.
I thought we made a, you mean, we had a motion relative to its historical significance?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
So it's contributing.
Right,
Not to its contribution, okay, great.
correct.
So I have a two-part motion here, or two motions. I move that this Chatham Historical Commission confirm that the home dwelling located at 158 Main Street is a contributing structure in the National Historic Register District.
Okay?
Second.
Second, Jane, she's fast. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Now we'll do a roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Part two.
I move that the Chatham Historical Commission find that the materials presented this date show that the proposed alterations, renovations, and additions do not constitute a substantial alteration to a contributing structure located in the National Register Historic District, and therefore a referral to the Cape Cod Commission for review is not necessary.
Second.
There you go, Jane. Second by Jane. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank the board for their time. Thanks,
And
Sarah Kochef
I
and their
appreciate it.
staff for their review.
I will thank her again. It's a good process. It helps us put things in perspective, and she's got a far more authoritative eye than we do.
Thanks again.
As somebody said, we're just a bunch of well-meaning volunteers. Who said that? He's in the back of the room. Okay, here we go. Application 22004. This is 32 Ivy Lane. This application was continued from the previous meeting on 4/19. We actually didn't have any presentation at all. So this is to be heard both in accordance with Chapter 158, the demolition delay bylaw, as well as the provisions of the Cape Cod Commission Regional Policy Plan. So, Mr. Riley, Mr. Ahern.
Well, Patrick Ahern, Bill Riley, on behalf of the Brigtons, Patrick's going to make a brief presentation.
Bill, do me a favor, just get a little closer to the microphone. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Patrick's going to make a brief presentation regarding our changes. Our understanding is because we have late filed materials, there won't be any further discussion, and we'll continue the meeting to your next meeting.
Okay, just for everybody's notice here, we're going to present
Yes.
the application. So what we're going to do, hopefully it's agreeable to everybody here, what we'll do is we'll have him make the presentation. We'll hold our questions, because we haven't had chance really to review this.
Right.
Okay? And I think you understand that.
I do.
And when you come back and we'll continue it to our next meeting, which is
May 17th.
May 17th, then, by then, the members of the commission and the public will have a chance to understand what's being proposed in this revised application, and then we'll continue it at that point, okay? So
That's good.
I know it's going to be difficult, guys, but kind of hold your questions, okay?
Thanks very much, Frank.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahan.
Okay. So, as you know, you had asked Sarah to review the proposed project, and that she issued a memorandum back to the Historic Commission regarding the application as it was originally presented, and offered some commentary of what she thought might be some areas of concern, but also areas in which she felt the application was well documented and appropriate. So we sent over to you back on the 29th our response to Sarah, and very much our client and we as the architects felt that Sarah really gave us a very careful study of what would be appropriate for this particular project. And I'd just like to review some of those elements in her documentation that I think are important for all of us to understand. First of all, I know there's been a lot of conversation about, in the public press, about this house being torn down. The house is not being torn down. So I just want to get on the record that everyone who might be listening, either in video or whatever, to understand that we're not tearing the house down. I think that's an important piece. What Sarah did offer was that the following elements. She states that many of the proposed changes would have little impact on the original features of the building. Some of the proposed changes would raise some concerns, which we will address momentarily. The proposed design appropriately preserves the original roof form and retains its prominence as the highest and largest part of the building. Changes to the east wall of the original structure and the dormer to the south slope, however, impact some of the features that have not been previously altered, which we have corrected. She goes on to say that significantly reducing the size of the east addition would preserve the character-defining profile of the original building form, which we have done, and that the proposed expansion of the south dormer is also a concern because it would alter the original building feature. While the proposed walkout balcony can largely be hidden from within the 1995 porch construction, the original roof dormer size and slope should be preserved, which we've also agreed to do. The proposed changes to the building additions made in 1995 would generally not be considered substantial alterations if they do not alter the historic building form. As such, she believes that the proposed changes would be made without threatening the character-defining features of the building. Adding a second-story gable to the west addition would alter only a modest amount of the west wall of the original structure, and changing the style of the porch piers and the window openings in the south porch would also have little impact on the historic building form. Enclosing the area below the south porch would impact only the 1995 addition, and the brick facing could help to differentiate it from the original building form. Proposed changes to the windows and door on the north facade and reincorporating original details visible in the 1978 historic inventory photos where they have been lost supports the preservation of original architectural details. And then finally, the proposal for a separate garage that is small in scale, has a lower roof height than the house, will preserve the prominence of the original building. So what we did in consultation with the Bridgestons is really take her report to heart. And we feel that, as Frank just mentioned a moment ago, she really is an expert in the area of preservation and very much understands the architecture of place that is so important to this community. So,
Okay.
Well, let's just wait, yeah. So, so what we'll do is, let's use the photographs to document the changes that we've done. Thank you. So if we could move forward with the slide.
Yeah,
These are,
Christine is controlling it. Just-
okay. So are these the latest drawings that we sent over the other day?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so if we could go to, let's go to page 3. Perfect, thank you. So,
Which drawing are we on, just so we can follow?
number 3, Frank?
3?
North
Thank you.
elevation.
The page numbers did not show in our copies, so.
Oh, they did,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You gotta mention that, I guess.
Okay, can
Make
you
sure.
see it where it says north
Yeah.
I
elevation?
can see it there, but it's
Great.
not here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got
Michelle,
it in mine somehow.
these copies didn't come out too well, but that's all right. We'll do them again. Okay.
Okay. So, so what we have is the elevation from the top, which is the way it exists today. And the dormer that's shown there was part of the 1995 addition, as is this flat roof piece. And also, this kind of a corner of the
Unfortunately-
house was removed.
Unfortunately, you have to
can't
stay
do
at the
that?
microphone. Christine,
Would
do
I
you
have
have
a
a
pointer?
pointer? Hold on, we give you a pointer.
Great, thank you.
Michelle's always prepared. Maybe.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, right. So this corner of the house was taken away at some point in time in 95. And it's so like someone took a bite out of the house and there's a post left over. And then this piece from 95 is problematical architecturally in lots of ways, but it was done prior to the work that we're talking about. And then this dormer was from 95. And then, unfortunately, the original configuration of the center doorway and the windows on either side were changed again. And we're proposing to put back, as Sarah supports, the original architectural fenestration of what the building had in its original form. We're also proposing, and Sarah supports, modifying this wing and creating a wing that's more sympathetic to what the original architecture would have been. In addition to that, in her comments, there was concerns about this new wing and how it impacts the oversailing eaves of the existing house. And it was at her suggestion that this be modified, which we've done. So we've made it smaller, and by shifting it, it becomes lower. So both of these wings have been made lower, and in doing so, the oversailing eaves on either end, which I'll show you in more detail in a moment, have been preserved. Next slide, please. This is the existing rear of the house. This is the proposed, and this is the existing dormer, which we are leaving in terms of its scale, which was again a recommendation of Sarah. She also supports the notion of a brick podium that the house would sit on, as opposed to just a line of shingles. She also supports the detailing of the piers and enlarging the stick-like supports of the porch that were part of the 95 addition that ties it more properly together. Next slide, please. Could we go one more just for a moment and we'll go back to that? So this is an important section drawing that clearly shows by adjusting the wing on the east side, we now have over 2 feet of clearance.
Oh, okay.
That really changes the dynamics. So all of the expression of the original architecture is clearly seen in the public realm. I think that's a really good improvement that she recognized that needed to be done. So we're quite pleased with her comments and feel that this actually very much does the intent of preserving original fabric and detail. And likewise, that also happens on the west side. So by reducing those wings down, we're able to have that kind of expression. So the two major things she was concerned about, rightly so, was this aspect of what we're talking about, and also preserving the width of the original dormer at the rear. Other than that, again, you can read on your own, I know you all have copies of her report, but I believe that she really supports the rest of the application. We can go back to the other page if you would. So in elevation form, again, this shows the new proposed one-car garage carriage house, using all the same architectural details found on the house in terms of the oversailing eaves and the brackets, the same size, larger scale shingles that the original house had, which we are putting back. And so that this could have been in a companion piece from the 20s when the original house was done. So I think she very much supports that, and the hierarchy and the scale is correct. So I believe those are the changes that we've made in direct
Good.
response to Sarah.
All right, well, thank you very much. What I'd like to suggest, again, first of all, Michelle, we need better copies, okay?
Okay, well, perhaps the applicant could provide,
I'm sorry?
perhaps the applicant could provide better copies.
Right.
I printed this from what I had.
No, that's okay. I'm not, I realize
No, I
last minute.
understand. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We're,
So-
we're happy to send them
Yeah,
over.
you'll
We'll send
provide
you.
better copies, and then it'll, also, it's online for the members of the public, and if those who want to come into the office to look at the drawings. And it'll also give the members of the commission time to review it, because we just received this morning. But I just wanted, to move things along, and
Right.
I'm glad everybody agrees. So, with the applicant's concurrence, I'd like to entertain a motion that we continue to the
7th.
May 17th meeting?
Frank, if I could, I'd like to ask Mr. Ahern just a few questions to clarify what he was just discussing, because
Okay, I don't want to start a whole
No,
discussion.
this
and then-
is not to
Okay.
argue or anything, just to make sure that I understand what he's asking. Looking at your number 6, new number 6, I show that going down 2 feet, as you mentioned. Are the dormers still involved?
Yes.
The dormer that we had originally proposed to be larger,
Right.
Yes.
we're
this is
not
small.
doing that. We're leaving the original dormer at the size it is.
Okay.
Okay.
And do the drawings,
It's 2.
I didn't say one question, smarter than that. For east elevation number 5, I don't quite see, I guess, how the roof line is being there. In other words, the sketch and that drawing, I can't quite equate to each other.
So that's why we did the cross-section,
Okay,
because that end elevation takes you way out, and you don't see the relationship of the addition and the original side of the house.
okay, so the drawings I'll call them the elevations as opposed to the sections, have not changed in accordance with the section?
No, the section is the changes we made according to what Sarah was asking.
Right,
And because it's an elevation taken way out, you don't see the relationship of the main house between the dormer that's being proposed on the addition. It blocks that point of view on the end elevation as a drawing, but in reality, the cross-section clearly shows we've lowered it 2 feet.
Go to page 3.
That doesn't.
That's the north elevation.
right,
Okay, so
the guys-
on the
I'm gonna
north
cut it off.
elevation,
okay.
Now, I'm going to cut it
All
off,
right.
because we're going to get multiple
Bob,
questions.
on the north elevation, you can see that the
Yeah.
dormers are separated from the house by several
Yeah,
feet.
I really would like to give everybody a chance to look at the drawing, so we're all on the same place.
But I want to know that what I'm looking at, so I can understand what I'm looking at. Otherwise, we're going to have to go through this again. That's all.
Yes.
I'm stopping.
We'll go through it again. Now, only because, Bob, everybody's going to have questions, and then we're going to be public, and then we're all over again.
All right, fine.
All right, so I'd like to have a motion to continue to May 17th with the applicant's concurrence.
So move.
Second?
Second, Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Any other comments or questions or suggestions? Okay. Yes.
What I see, and it's the reaction to Sarah Korjeff's comments, to me are quite plain and simple. I don't really see the need for a continuance.
Well, let me tell you why.
I
Let me
could
just-
act,
let me
I
just-
could act,
Let me just tell you why. Because we have multiple letters from the public for and against. We have members of the public here who they've been quite patient, okay? And we just got these drawings, okay? And I'm happy that you can make a quick decision, but I think there's wanted to be some more thoughtful look at the drawings. And I'd like to give people the time, because as far as I'm concerned, the members of the commission got these drawings a half hour ago. And that's not appropriate. It's not appropriate for anybody. And that's why we're going to do this way. Okay, we're going to do a roll call now. If there's any other comments? Mr. Pakin, I really don't want to make the public involved at this particular point, unless it's a point of order. No.
Chairman, I have a question of importance which I'd like to raise.
Well,
And it will be very brief.
okay, unfortunately, Norm, we can't hear you. But if it's a quick question, I'll take it. Come on up. Thank you. This is what I wanted to avoid. Say again? I can't hear you, Don, I'm sorry. It's the door? I'm not sure. All right, well, we can, yes, I'm sorry, Norm.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my question is this to the chair. Will the commission now again request Ms. Korjeff, as staff member of the Cape Cod Commission, to comment specifically on the new drawings? We have heard from the applicant.
Yes.
And constantly that he believes that she supports this. There is nothing in the record to show that she has even seen this document. I think it's presumptuous for that to be. So I would ask that you do specifically refer this again with the new drawings back to Ms. Korjeff for her comments.
And just for your information, I did do that, and I guess it was yesterday, and I called Sarah this morning, and she had some overview comments, but she needs time, and I said, fine.
I understand. Thank you very much.
No. Thank you very much. Which is another reason, Steve, why, I wanted to continue it. All right, I think we did. Thank you very much, Mr. Pakin. All right, we're going to do a roll call.
Can I ask my question?
Sure, go ahead. Mr. Ahern?
Mr. Ahern, on the south side, it looks like there's a door replacing windows on the dormer and a kind of a balcony. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a roll call on the motion to adjourn to May 17th. Bob?
Yes.
I'm sorry? Continue. Thank you very much. Steve?
no,
Ben?
no.
I'm going along with Steve, no.
Ben, you got your microphone on? Could you speak into
Yes,
it?
I do, and I'm going along with Steve saying no.
Okay. Stephanie?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So we have a majority. Let me just say, guys,
I'm on your side.
we have to be aware that it's not just us making these decisions, that we have an obligation to the members of the public to adequately review what we're presenting. And just so we agree I think that's insufficient. We need to do that. So that's why I think I
Can you
want to continue.
represent to me that we will continue to treat all future applications in the same way?
In this case, we have a situation where we got a significant revision to the application this morning. if that did happen again, and we had a significant revision to the application, and the majority of the members of the commission felt we should continue it to have more time to review it, the answer is yes, we will continue it. Thank you. Okay,
I have a comment here.
I'm sorry, Ben.
The reason I went along with Steve is there are two things that I think are important on this. One, the original house is kept separate, which we always like.
Yes,
And the second thing is, what they've done here is not overwhelming.
understand.
If those two things are satisfied, I don't know what else we're gonna do. We can nickel dime on whether there's gonna be 3 parts to one window or a half a part to another window,
Ben,
but
you're absolutely right.
major portions of this are satisfied.
Can you save that, can you save that for next meeting? But we have a lot of members of the public who have asked to be heard, and we have an obligation to hear them. Thank you. I think we did it. Thank
You
you.
should declare the vote.
Say again?
You have to declare the vote.
Oh. I think we have, oh, I didn't declare it was a vote. The vote was 5-2. Thank you very much.
you.
You got me excited, Bill. That's what happens when you have volunteers do this kind of work. You're never going to live that down. Okay. This is going to go quickly, I think. We don't have any new business or any correspondence. I just quickly, Michelle is in the process, working with Sarah Korjeff, looking at our application, and we made a quick decision, no, not the last time, not a quick decision, as a result of the initial review between Sarah Korjeff and Michelle. We're probably going to split the application two separate. So the National Register portion of the application is separate from the Chapter 158, as well as other things that Michelle is looking into with guidance from Sarah Korjeff and the Cape Cod Commission, is the calculation of the 25 gross floor area, which is always a dicey one. And so we're hoping to simplify the application for the public when they come and fill one out, especially when they're in the National Register District, and we have that 25% threshold. So at the next meeting, Michelle, do you think you're going to have something for us to look at?
It's possible. I don't know for sure, but it's possible.
Okay, good. Yes, sir.
Michelle, could you add a date line to the application,
Yes,
please? Thank you.
you're welcome.
A date line, and is there a Form B? Is that on the application already? I don't know. We'll look at it. Okay. The next item, if there's no other further comments on the,
I have a comment.
oh, yes, on the application. Yes, sir.
Why is it that the public who has interest is not here today?
I'm sorry?
You indicated that one of the reasons we had to continue this was to give the members of the public who wanted to comment an opportunity. Don't they have that opportunity today? Why would we have to give them another 2 weeks to come back and make comment?
Because the applicants, the public just saw the application and it was revised. I want them, give them time to look at it. I don't know what's so hard about that, Steve. Such a concept. You got something that's different, okay? And now they have an opportunity to look at it. Thank you. The Nantucket Sound is a National Historic Landmark. I guess, you know, if you folks had a chance to look at that, if there's a sense that the majority of the commission would not like to pursue that, kind of would like to know, and I'll take it off, you know. Has anybody really had a chance to look at it? Don?
I do not think that this is appropriate for us to determine.
what?
I do not think this is appropriate for us to decide on.
Okay.
I agree.
Steph? Steve?
I agree.
Ben?
I agree.
Okay, that's a majority.
I'm with them.
All right, okay. Ladies, we'll take it off. Thank you very much. The Preservation Awards, things are in final preparation And you've all received an a invitation, and if you haven't, would you RSVP? So we know how much cheese to bring. Okay. Stephen, I don't know if you had a chance to do anything.
I haven't, and the reason I haven't is that for the last 4 months, I've asked. For the last 4 months, if not more, I have asked to, some details about this funding that's available, and have had no response.
Well, you were absent, and we got the funding when you were absent, and we wanted to wait until you returned. So the funding is available. So what you need to do is have a conversation with Michelle, and we can work out the details to find some kind of a contract between Craig Cartier and myself.
Oh, that's good, because I didn't want to set Craig Chartier up to a situation where we were proposing an agreement with him and then find out that all of a sudden the other commission said, oh, that money should be returned, it's not available. I just want some assurance that it is available and how much and what the conditions may or may not be.
Right.
And if you have that information, Michelle, that's great. I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that unfortunately, Ben, was a thing that got tied up with community preservation, and yes, and no again, and yes, and finally a no, relative to administrative funds, I guess is the term, which we're not going to get. And in the future, we're just not going to get anything from community preservation for these kinds of activities. But luckily, Katie Donovan and Community Development has identified some funding, and I've asked her, in your absence, to ensure that we have, sorry, I thought it was off. I've asked her in the future to ensure we have some kind of a budget item. You know, we're not talking $100,000, we're talking $5,000, $10,000 to, you know, and that we can do these things on a more routine basis, you know. You can't ask professional people like archaeologists and preservation consultants, other than Sarah Korjeff, who's getting paid anyway, you know, to do work for us without them properly being compensated. Yes, Stephanie.
I'm just wondering, is the are the preservation awards going to be in conflict with the town meeting?
It's an excellent question. The answer is we moved the preservation award from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It was too late to cancel it. So the only thing we hadn't done is the invitation, and we changed the invitation to 4 o'clock. So if you're going to town meeting, speak quickly. And I hopefully will be done by 4 o'clock. And if not, Kevin can start the activities and I'll join him when I get there. I'm glad you brought up the issue of the town meeting, if I could. You know, our effort, the bylaw change to allow, you know, for historic preservation in the zoning bylaw, it's at town meeting. I think it's Article 62. I was hoping that Ali Sabatino was going to make a cogent and articulate presentation to the town meeting and we'd get a vote. Now, unfortunately, she's gone. So, I'm on the hook, and I'll try to not talk too much. Bill Litchfield always said that. The best thing at town meeting, when you get up, keep it short, you know. So, and hopefully, you know, it's going to be a long town meeting. They're expecting 2 days, and we're at the end, or close to the end. So maybe by then everybody's gone home and wouldn't be a problem. So we need 2/3 vote. So I would ask every member of the commission to make sure you're there. This may be your 2/3 vote. Yes.
When you say Ally is gone,
Oh, she's left. I'm sorry, you were on vacation too. A lot happens. Don't go on vacation. Ally is taking a job elsewhere, so she's no longer. Okay, there we go.
Frank,
Yes. Oh, where's you? Jane.
the town meeting, according to the warrant, is on May 14th, and your invitation says May 15th. So what's the conflict?
The conflict is the town of Chatham and the board of the select board and everybody else who's involved expect the town meeting to go 2 days, and the select board have made a decision that if it goes
Oh.
2 days, part 2 will begin at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Oh, I get it, okay.
Okay,
So
good.
two-
All right, the other item, got the phone, okay. The other item, which is the update of the archaeological survey. So Steve, in addition to your Form Es, we did identify some funding to potentially begin the update of our archaeological survey townwide report. And again, if we do that and it's positive, we also could potentially proceed in putting an application in for the Nickerson family dig to be listed on the National Register. So anyway, both of those things are good, and we identified the sources. Thank you very much. South Chatham Village National Register District. I sent you folks copies of a letter which I sent out with Michelle, and that letter went to all of the residents in the proposed South Chatham Village National Register District. Mass Historic is going to be sending a letter probably next week, the formal letter, alerting people that there will be an informational meeting on May 25th here in this room at 10:30. I believe it's 10:30. But it was determined in consultation with Sarah Korjeff and Eric Dre, our consultant, and Michelle, that what we should do is give the public a heads up, so they know what's going on. And I sent you a copy of my letter, so that has gone out to the residents as well as to the members of the South Chatham Village Association, some of which are not in the proposed district, but still, they had been supporting it, so we want to get, it's an open meeting, open to the public, and as we have learned, a la Stage Harbor Road, you never know. So I'm not leaving anything to chance. It was 25 years ago when, I think it was 25 years ago, when the Historical Commission tried to get the South Chatham Village as a National Register District, and it failed, and just wasn't accepted. So I think we get an attaboy here of bringing it this far. Okay. Monomoy Theater, if you're watching the papers, it's proceeding. The owner, Mr. Greg Clark, has come up with a couple of alternate designs which seem to be more acceptable to the HBDC. And in addition, Mr. Clark, the owner of the Washington Taylor House and the theater, is applying to the federal government for listing in the sense that he can get his 20% discount, tax rebate. So that's proceeding well. Just so you know, because I've been working with him in the process of getting this Mass Historic and the federal's listing, the Washington Taylor House is a no-brainer. It's historic. The theater itself, architecturally, is lacking. In fact, when we put our application in a couple of years ago, if you remember, Don, it was difficult to get the theater to be an historic building. We tried, and with Eric Dre, and we tried, because we couldn't get the architectural detail, we tried the fact that it was so important to town. The town, it was a part of the community for 70 years. They're not buying it on the federal level. So it's possible that he's only going to get his tax credit for the Washington Taylor House, but it's something. So hopefully in a few years, we may have the Monomoy Theater back. Not the same one, but a Monomoy Theater. Last but not least, the Coast Guard Boathouse. The town is proceeding with its design of the upweller, so stay tuned on that one. I have talked myself out. Anybody else have anything you want to add or comment on?
Well done, Frank.
All right. This was a tough one. Michelle, there's no change on the demolition delay?
Correct.
Okay. That's a status of demolition delay? Okay. Any member of the public have something to say? Where'd they go? Okay. All right, we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. I think
Second.
that was Don and Bob. I don't know if can have two people make a motion? But
No, I'll second it.
Stephanie seconds. Okay, Bob,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you. Good night.